Welcome to the Scrumptious Woman. It's a hot day here in the UK, and with me I have Kathleen Pitt, who is a nurse practitioner turned into this beautiful quantum physic. And when I hear you talk about the codes and the things that have come in through you,
Yeah.
the hairs on my arms just stand up.
Yeah, mine too. Thanks for having me.
We've had a bit of trouble getting on, but hey, we're here. So oftentimes when I see there's trouble getting people on, when there's trouble in connection, not physical connection, but like the interface. I'm sure you have the same, that things tend to break around you,
Yeah.
electrical things.
Yeah, things tend to break, and things also tend to like really work out. And it's like, how could that have happened? It's like, well, I don't know. It's just who I am, I guess.
Beautiful. Take us on your journey a bit. We connected in a mastermind. There was just something that I'm like, yes, I need to have you on the Scrumptious.
Same. And I think, although what we do is two very different things, at the core of it, it really is coming back to yourself, right? Coming back to your truth, your power, your primal instincts that exist within you. It's just about that reconnection that you're able to have in that moment. So for me, I was a very disembodied, like disconnected woman, and I was a nurse practitioner. I had 2 kids under the age of 30. My husband was a high performing engineer. And we lived probably 4 houses in about 6 years. So like constantly moving for his job, pregnancies, master's degrees, research grants. Like it was just in a wild time. And at the same time, my work was focused on ER, cardiac care, urgent care, fast-paced adrenaline type of work. And in that time, we had everything we wanted, right? Like we achieved the goals, we did the things, we had the big house, had the big check. Yes, we were miserable every day. It was just fighting and like Groundhog Day and fast food on the way to work, wine at night. Like I was on Adderall, Prozac, and we're fighting like all the time. And over what? We had a beautiful family, healthy boys. We had the jobs that we worked so hard for. It was just a nightmare, right? To wake up in a body and a life that you wanted, that you fought for, that you worked for, and then you didn't want anything to do with it. So what do you do, right?
It becomes that like, oh, I ticked all the boxes and I did this and that. And then it's like, is this all there is to it? And actually, it's the life we want.
It's not. And that question, like waking up every day and saying, is this it? Is this what I worked so hard for? This is horrible. I don't want any of this. What ended up happening was that my husband is the love of my life. I think most people may get into that conversation and then they focus so much on that partnership or that relationship, and then it quickly will just, explode. And ours was exploding, Juliette. Like it wasn't like it was going great. We were fighting, but we were still holding on to this thread of where are we? What is going on? And I heard a meditation that had something in it called light language, which to me, light language is a language of the quantum field. It's a frequency-based thing. It's something that's felt, not logically understood. And when I heard that light language, I began to sob, like crying, weeping. I had no idea what these words were, but I had this full body goosebumps and awakening. And I remembered that I spoke that when I was 8 years old. But growing up in the Catholic Church, it was very much like, don't do that. Like, what are you doing? Stop. You're not allowed to connect with spirit and, talk or communicate. Who knows what's coming through you, right? So I remember that I spoke that when I was 8 years old. And what that moment did for me was really set me on this trajectory of, oh my God, who am I? What is this? I feel it so deeply. It's something that logically I can't explain to you, but my body remembers, my soul remembers.
It's like coming home.
Of course, like high career woman, high career man. I remember going home to him and telling him, and of course, for anybody who's been in burnout before, you know that when you're in that state, it doesn't matter how much money you make, like in it goes and out it like goes. Like it's just, you're just burning like a fire on both ends, basically. So I remember coming home to him and saying, I don't know why I need to do this, but I need to invest in this course for like soul development, basically. And he was like, what is that?
What are you going into? Some kind of...
He's like, what are you even talking about? I had to honestly say, I don't know. But I know that I'm supposed to do this, and I can't explain it to you. And he
Yeah.
was like, okay, go for it.
Beautiful. So you had that connection still. You could
Yeah.
communicate that to each other, which is beautiful because a lot of people would be like, I gotta hide this.
I was absolutely going to hide it. And actually, what had ended up happening is I dropped my kids off at this Mother's Day out, and I was driving home. And this is probably a week or two after I'd heard light language. I'm driving home. Everywhere I look, it's 444, 555, 111, 222. Light language is pouring through my mouth, like unconsciously while I'm driving. And the message is clear, like, go home and tell him. And so I told him, and I even told him I was going to lie to you. I wasn't going to tell you. And he was like, okay, well, I'm glad you didn't lie to me. Thank you for telling me. It seems very important to you. Do it. And now I know that the transformation was so great, so intense, just transformed every aspect of our lives that there is no way that I would have been able to hide it from him. And now I'm going to quit my job and be the quantum psychic.
And isn't it funny, right? Because so often we hear that you have to hit almost maybe not fully rock bottom, but a point where it wasn't going so well. Like for
Right.
me, it was like falling on the half landing unconscious and waking up with my wrist was bleeding out. I was just looking at the blood pouring out of my wrist and I'm like, this is a no.
Wow, this seems off.
Right? Just because my body is telling me, it's like, stop. And that's it, right? You're a nurse practitioner and your body was telling you stop and you got the hit. It's like, okay, this is it. And that feeling is really like all I can say. It feels like you're home, right? It's like, oh, this is what I've unconsciously been searching for, or this is what it's always been. I have just forgotten what it feels like.
Truthfully, that remembrance, it is a soul remembrance, because even like you're saying, like you were at this place where you're bleeding out, right? And like, oh, wow, what's going on? Or like, I'm a nurse practitioner. I know that I'm living in survival, but our minds are so strong that we will do the most illogical, crazy things because that's how we got love when we were a child, right? Like that's how we earned love and respect and being noticed, being visible. It's like literally mechanisms that were put in place by our brains to survive. That coming home feeling, how do you describe it anything other than a soul remembrance or a soul moment? Because in my physical incarnation of this life, I'd never felt like that, right? Like nothing had made me feel like I was home and whole and loved. But my soul knows my truth. My soul knows source.
Beautiful. We can start talking about soul fractures and just what really happens, right? When we incarnate. And a lot of people are like, what the hell are you talking about, right? And
Yeah.
we don't really need to understand. I think that's the
Right.
most beautiful of it. Our mind will go on that little journey where we're like, oh, let me try and get more information and more. And you see this now on the internet. It is full of people just giving you information, but is it actually from a point of them transmitting it, or is it just
Right.
like regurgitated, this is what I've heard, but I'm not actually living it?
That is the difference between an embodied person. I want to say embodied woman, but it's in person too, right? It's like you can feel it in someone's core and the way they speak and how they show up and how they're presenting themselves. And when you can learn to trust that, like to trust what your body is telling you about someone else, that is a transformation. I really believe that's like really the ascension of humanity, learning to lean into someone's energy, learning to lean into your own energy and the embodiment of self. That is what being a true human experience is about.
Isn't it beautiful? I work with people in the energy and the sexual realm, right? And teen couples. Basically, it's a relationship to self and to your body. Some people come to me for an attunement and then in person or online. It takes about 20 minutes because no one can take much more than that. And they're just completely zonked in. They're like, what happened? I just don't even try and explain it. Some of their bodies may move and not. And, and the spine and all the different bodies hold on to a lot of emotions. Oftentimes I just need to, or I'll do like, not quite light language, but I'll use things with my tongue and that will just actually move things and they'll start
Yes.
moving. And they're like, what is this? You're some kind of witch. I'm like, I'm
Yes.
just reading the energy around you. And probably, yes, a few hundred years ago, I would have been. on the stake.
It's interesting, like the titles change, but the mechanism is the same. When you learn to work with energy and frequency and that embodiment and alignment of self, that is really the essence of being human. One of the things I talk about a lot in my work is the work of Yeshua or Jesus and Mary Magdalene. It is similar to the work that you and I do because it is about being 100% human, 100% divine. The labels that we've attached to it is just a form of like culture through life, but really we all have access to these gifts.
Completely. And that's the beauty of it. I read on your Instagram where I got a transmission. I don't know, but I was like, the 12 something. I'm like, oh, hello. You're starting something? What's happening there?
Oh, the transmission that came through is the oracles. I've done this one before, but with each launch, it's like a new evolution. You Are the Oracle is my high level mastermind. And it's so interesting, the people that start coming out. So whenever I launch a program, I have 5 different programs. Every time I launch one, I tune into the frequency of that program because it has an energy of its own. And I'm the vessel that's transmitting it to the world, right? For each program, the frequency that comes through, it attracts a certain type of person. The interesting thing about Oracle is that it attracts so many people. For somebody who is doing multi-millions in business and is ready to shift into spiritual embodiment. Yeah. But it brings in so many people because the potency of that frequency is so intense. There are people that are being activated and awoken and ready to shift and change the world. And that is like the thing that activates them.
That's a container that we need to step into. I remember one of my mentors in Canada when I was there for a live event and I was training other trainers. He's like, who here believes in her that she should be charging 100K? And I just looked around the room and everyone's like, puts their hands up and like, okay. And it was just so interesting, right? And it's like, oh, little me wanted to fight for not having that. And it was really interesting to kind of like take a viewpoint of just seeing those two beings or the two parts going at it. And I was like, well, that's fun. Are you having a good time there?
Yeah, fighting it out. I think something that's come through for me the last couple of weeks is how many of our accomplishments do we not acknowledge, right? Like how incredible if you were not you and you were reading someone else's biography and it was tit for tat, your life, your credentials, the transformations, you would just be blown away. And not that you're not blown away by your work, I'm sure you are, but it is about the normalcy of it, or like, this is just what I do. This is my life and I love my life and I live in joy and I live in prosperity and the frequency of abundance. I sometimes need to be reminded of that brilliance of who I am. And like, yes, all of these people think I should be charging 100K. Well, why don't I think that? Because I'm here to change the world.
And it's funny things like that. Like last week I was talking at an event and I had both my daughters were there. Well, one who lives in Lebanon, so I was very happy to have her home after 8 months of bombing, and her nervous system is very fried.
Oh my gosh.
The moment she came home, she just, the co-regulation, her body was just like, oh my God, it's so good to be home. I slept so well. But just to have the 2 daughters there, my 2 twins, I've got 2 boys as well, helping, supporting, and it's for a charity for abuse. And of course, I've had quite a bit of sexual abuse, and that's why I help women now. For them to witness this and there to be there with me, and where I came really clean about all the stuff that had happened to me, and where it's like, no, it's not happening to us because, my mother has transmuted it. It's not happening. We can speak up for ourselves. And it was just beautiful to have that. And they were like, they were tearing up. They're like, Mom, we're so proud of you. And it's like, oh, wow, this is kind of cool.
You're proud of me. I'm getting goosebumps just hearing you talk about it. How normal is it? But real, look at what you've done. Look at what you've created. Look at the lives you've changed. And I was having a healing session the other day with my healer. She came over and I was talking about this chronic exhaustion I had been battling with. And when her and I are together, everything's just so intensified. Our third eyes are just like, boom, boom, it's just crazy. She said something and I responded with, I just know that what I'm healing is not just here to heal me me. It's not just here to heal my children. I'm healing for my children's children. And as I was saying, children, I'm not kidding, Juliette, this huge like cloud like moved over us. And it was just like her ancestors, my ancestors, this circle of like tribal women like was around us. And I didn't say anything. And I looked at her and she said, yeah, wow.
It's kind of cool where you can both see it, huh?
The things that you transmuted for your children, like, yes, it's already making an impact, but how much more down the line does that change and shift?
That's the beauty, because you talk about prosperity a lot, right? And actually bringing in that money. And it is not so much for you, what I'm really hearing between the lines here. I had a session with someone yesterday who was like fighting for his limitations. Like, we all do really well, and then one of our generations loses it again, and then people take it from us. And I'm like, what about if you actually take that gift of you, of everything coming easy to you, and then transmuting it, that it's not just for you, but what good can you do with the whatever you actually want to bring in?
What would that look like? And you're right that those people that fight for that limitation, it's like, okay, well, that's going to be your story until you're ready to change it. And like, how beautiful is it going to be when you decide?
And that's a funny thing, right? Because we are that powerful.
I even feel sometimes like I preach this, right? We are that powerful. We are the creators. We choose, we decide. And still, even in my own work, like vulnerability moment, like I know I have not accessed the depth of the power. I know that I still fight for my limitations. I know that there's still more. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Hands up. Like, yes, it's so tricky. Life is a journey. It's an evolution, of course, but having the responsibility and I don't even want to say the word audacity, but the embodiment really to look inward and say, is this really a limitation, or is this something that I'm fighting for? What do I choose? What do I decide? What am I ready to create in my life?
Those are some beautiful pointers to give to people that are like, yo, this is going a bit above my head. Where we're honest, it's always the fear of not being safe.
Yeah.
Not having a roof over your head, not being healthy enough, not failing in love. That hierarchy of where you need to have your basic needs met before you think you can go any higher or anything spiritual. It's like, if we can just calm that nervous system, if we can calm that mind. Do not believe what your mind says. It's a lie.
It's lying to you all day.
Hilarious, right? I mean, when I remember learning that. And if we can just slow down, and this is why I teach people like a touch base, like 2 minutes a day, twice a day, if you can just get your body to understand that, start rewiring it. And then, all of a sudden it's like, oh, this is available. I want to purchase a red car. All of a sudden I see red cars everywhere.
Yes.
It's like, oh, I want to do this. All of a sudden there's opportunities. Like for me, all of a sudden, I was like, oh, listen, I'm ready to be really free. Last week, my Instagram hit 1 million views in 30 days. Today, a week later, it's 1,600,000.
Oh, that's incredible. Congratulations.
Right? So it's like, oh, so like my DMs are a little bit busy.
Yes, I'm sure they are. Yeah.
It's like, oh, isn't that funny? Where, it's like, okay, bring it on. I'm ready to be visible. And then I'm like, oh shit, this is quite visible. I think God universe has a sense of humor. It's like, are you really sure, darling?
You really ready? Give you a giant dose of that so you can figure out what to do the next time it happens.
I think that's where, if we can just take things with a bit of a sense of humor.
I think like what you're saying is sometimes that conversation of like quantum and embodiment and like get out of your head, get into your body. Like it's easy to say, right? Especially for somebody who's listening to this that might be still in that, like, give me what do I do? What do I do? What do I need to do? Kind of energy. I feel like somebody's listening who's in that energy. So if you're listening and that's your energy, listen up. It is important to get those anchor points of like, okay, here are some really actionable things that you can do.
Yes.
1, like, how does this benefit me? 2, what do I desire? And if I don't know what I desire, like, what brings me joy? One of the questions I get all the time is like, well, how do I know what my soul purpose is? Or how do I do this? It's like, okay, before I answer that, what did you like to do when you were a kid? Like, did you ride bikes? When's the last time you've ridden a bike? When's the last time you've sang? When's the last time you played piano? One of the things that happened to me before I heard light language, like you're saying, that reticular activating system with the red car and the opportunities and all of a sudden the visibility, I want to experience joy. I want to experience happiness. What did I used to do? Well, I used to play piano. I used to sing. When everybody was out of the house, my husband's at work, my kids are at daycare, I'm off of work, and I'm home alone, I would sit down at the piano and start playing and start singing, and then I would stop and I would go to the window and make sure no neighbors were outside. Nobody was hearing me or seeing me because having fun was so uncomfortable.
Oh, a little crosswire.
Yes, I had to actually physically train myself and say, it's okay. You're not wasting time. You're not lazy for doing this, just it's okay to sit down for 10 minutes and play piano. But even those like little introductions of joy, of that reconnection, that is, I think, what really paved the way for me to find light language, to hear it, to understand, like, I don't know why, but I have to do something. Starting small with what brings you joy and what lights you up and makes you feel alive, or did at one point, that is the actionable step to take to get into the full embodiment of self.
I completely agree. And this is one of the things that I have my couples do. I often get the people that haven't had actual sex in years, in like 20 years or so. They've been together for 30 years and 20 years no sex. And I'm like, oh, okay. First thing, like, okay, we're going to take sex off the table. And they're like, well, it's been off the table for 20 years. So it's not really.
Yeah.
Yes, but there comes a point in my homework, you are starting to tap into what you like and what you liked about the other person. That, that desire comes back again. And they're like, yeah, whatever. Usually on week 3, I've had them make lists about what did you used to love doing as a kid.
Yes.
Morning, discuss that with each other, and all of a sudden you learn new things about each other. What did I love about him? What did I love about her? That's week 2. Then all of a sudden they're like, oh. So, by the time week 3 or between week 3 and week 6, they're like, that homework that you gave us? And I'm like, oh, which one? They're like, the one that you've just broken. And they're like, we've had sex in the first time ever.
Oh my gosh.
Like, well, because you're not constantly focusing on what's wrong and what he's doing wrong and what he's doing right, but you're actually starting to open up what's right with your life.
So what a beautiful shift in like perspective. And of course, like that's about couples reconnecting, and you can use it for any aspect of your life.
Completely. This is why I created my cards.
Yes.
After, years of couples and women, and it's a prompt, tell me, so it asks the other person to understand, to hear, not to interject, not to fix. They don't even have to like it.
Yeah.
But my kids, instead of like, how was school? And like, grunt,
Yeah.
like, you're stupid, this, that. It's like, tell me what was one thing that surprised you about today. And that actually has them think a little bit. It's like, whoa, okay. Oh, this, or that. Yeah. And then all you say is thank you. And I love that, they started playing it. Now all 4 of them that are in their late 20s, 25 to 28.
Yeah.
They're playing it with their friends. And they're like,
Oh,
oh,
that's
look,
beautiful.
these things are really good. I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah, I made them. So duh.
So it's not like I didn't invent the wheel, right? It comes from the
Sure.
dyads, and then people have used this, Charles Burner, and loads of people have used this before me. But you just think it's like, where can people connect in a way where today it's so fast? Like we have like a 3-second span, and we just swipe, and people are sitting on different sofas, watching TV on their phones, and usually like a third app or something. Wow. What's happening here?
What's happening here, guys? Let's pay attention. I agree. It's really an art, and it's the same conversation, like whether it be soul mission or embodiment, or it's getting out of this. I always see what it is really an abundance of energy in the crown chakra, really, because it's just circulating. It's not going anywhere. So you're receiving all this information, input. It's like, well, where are you putting it? Like, are you just holding on to it? It's going to make you go crazy. Things are going to start to combust in your life. But when you can connect back into your body, back into your energy, back into who you are. Figure out who you are, because you may need to do that first. Just watch the rest of your life move forward in alignment.
I love this. So is your husband still in his job?
Yes. Huge shifts. It's so interesting. Like, again, divine timings. If you feel like you're blowing up your life, but you're choosing alignment, that's okay. In this whole thing, I've figured out, like, my North Node is Capricorn. My North Node is about business, meant to build a business. A lot of other things in my chart support the work that I'm doing. And his North Node is Aquarius. In this process, I've been able to be home with the kids more, like to handle, my kids are very young, they're 5 and 7, plus on and off extracurriculars, create spaciousness in my schedule. And at the same time, he's been pulled into massive products or projects to like manufacturing integration, robotics, autonomous stuff. And he just got a huge promotion, which we're so proud of him for. At the same time that I chased my purpose and my calling, because we're in divine union and partnership, soul contract together, naturally his North Node and his calling has exploded as well.
Beautiful, right? And this is where I think that's probably one of the things that I see most in couples when one of them really starts to accelerate, let's call it.
Yeah.
The other one is like, whoa,
Yes.
who are you becoming? And I'm not sure. I don't think I know you anymore.
Yeah, it's an identity death for me and then for the partner as well, right?
Completely. And yeah, there is not that identity that we had as a couple either. It's like, so who are we now?
I think too, like I talk about this all the time with my clients because they're going through this awakening process. What I always say is like, you're here. You chose to be here. You've chosen this life. You've chosen this manifestation, this business, this timeline, everything in your frequency in your life, you have chosen. They haven't. They're just there, here, along for the ride. When you look at their maybe lack of understanding or their defense mechanisms, their inner child like coming out, whatever it is, I want you to hold your partner in a state of empathy because you chose this and they didn't. And they're going to come with you. You're going to set the frequency and you're not going to accept abuse or, boundary crossing. But you chose this and they're here watching it happen. And they didn't want this. Maybe some of them didn't want it, right? So you set the frequency, they will rise to meet you. But in that time when they're rising, you need to send them all the love you got.
Give them a bit of empathy. And I have had it with some couples that they've had to uncouple where it actually just didn't. And then it was like, okay, but do this in as much love as well.
Yeah.
Right? If you can keep that frequency of love and respect and, this is a man that you love and might be the father of your children. I mean, this is how I've done it. And Kitty, my ex-husband, and I are like best friends still. It's one of the things
I love that.
I'm most proud of, where I'm like, why would we do it any other way?
I think like no matter who you are 10, 15, 20 years from when you met, there was a part of you, an identity that you held that deeply loved that person, that was deeply enmeshed with that person, right? Your energy can be separated, but it cannot be untangled in some ways and aspects. You honor those parts of yourself as you move forward.
I love that. And especially if there's children involved, right? Then you're even more enmeshed than forever.
I think I want to also say, like, for your listeners, there were very much times when it was tense, right? If you have two people that base their entire identities and achievements, and that's your budget, that's your goal, that's your thing, and for me to just say, actually, no, and I'm going to spend the next year sleeping because I'm recovering from trauma and building a business or whatever, like that's tough. That's tough for the other partner to then pick up the slack financially, emotionally, whatever it is. I give him so much grace for that. And there were tense moments, but at the end of the day, like I knew what I was choosing and I knew that I was the one choosing it. And then he would eventually meet me there.
What are your kids like?
That's such a great question, Juliette. I just made a post about this. They're complete opposite kids. My first one he's almost 8. He is the engineer. He's just like my husband. And he's so sweet, so kind, so precious. Almost 8 years old. Every night, Juliette, he tells me, you're the best mommy in the whole wide world. If there were an award ceremony, you would win every time. Like, thank you, honey. You're so sweet. Also very emotional, cries a lot. Then my youngest one is 5. He'll be 6 soon. Just absolutely insane. Came out of the womb insane. Just ready to move, ready to go, ready to run. Like he figured out he could crawl faster if he put his head down. So he would just like crawl into walls because he could just get there faster.
I love it. Okay, he's on a mission. Hello.
Yeah, he's not a mission. So I'm bringing all this up because they're just like carbon copies of us. Like I'm just like that, and my other one's just like my husband. That being said, both of them are parts of me that I was able to heal, right? So like when I was younger, it was like, why are you crying so much? You know, stop crying. I'm a Cancer moon. I'm very emotional. It's like, stop feeling sorry for yourself. And then my other one, energetic, playful, and it's like, calm down, be quiet, stop moving, chill. These are all aspects of myself that I was able to heal and heal with them and through them. Now, my oldest now reads my mind. He telepathically will be like, can we watch a YouTube about time travel? I don't talk about what I do really. I usually just say I'm helping people like live better lives. He's telepathic. He always reads my mind. He always asks for topics that I'm thinking of or speaking of. And then my youngest is like so psychic, so intense. Like spirits are always in his room. I'm always constantly having to teach him how to shield himself. He's like, what do you mean I got to shield myself from the monsters? I'm like, they're not monsters. They're just people, and you know, it's been an interesting journey.
I can really imagine. Yeah, isn't it funny? Because I have two very dyslexic children, and then two book smart.
Yeah, yeah.
Really easy book smart, and have put their heads down and are in finances and other stuff like that. And then the other two are very creative, and they're all emotional.
You're like, you think there'd be a difference? They're not. They're all emotional.
Four of them have all got emotional authority kids. I'm like, okay, no wonder, dad and mom are also buffs.
Right.
The funny thing is they have so much sight, and they haven't always wanted to. I remember myself also, I'm like, yeah, that's nothing, Now that they're in their early 20s, and my eldest is 28, really things are coming through really quickly for them.
I think too, like having you as a mother, having me as a mother, like it is changing that stigma or that relationship to self, because I believe inherently that we are all psychic, that we all have these gifts that we're able to see and interpret energy. It's programming. How many children, when they're young, there's a monster under my bed, and the parents, desperate for sleep, say, no, there's not, go to bed. Right? That's really gaslighting a child out of their abilities, but totally normal. If anybody's doing that, totally been there. I'm like, no, there's not. Here's the monster spray. Good night. Leave me alone. That nuance and that authority that we are actually creating for humanity now to say like, yes, I understand you see that. We're going to speak about this tomorrow. There's this and that, and here's what you can do, rather than no, thanks. Shut up. No, go to bed.
It's so true, right? Being a mother and then later on, like really stepping into this a bit later, recognizing it's like, ooh, those oopsie moments. Like, God, I've had to make some amends to my kids. I'm like, ooh, fucked up there.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, mommy, it's fine. I'm like, man, once you have your kids, it's an instruction booklet this big, and you're going to fuck up, and you're going to think you're going to do the best. And for me, I've also helped people pass over. And then, of course, one of my daughters, her boyfriend passed. She just didn't understand. And he came to me, and he was just given a portals. I've been explaining to her, it's like, we're shown portals.
Yes.
All the time. You can go or you can stay. And it's just a choice that you make. We made that choice. It's nothing bad. It's just a choice. For her, she started painting big paintings, like big, large scale because of that.
Wow, that's incredible. I need to see it. That's what I feel.
Oh, I'll send you some pictures. Yeah, I have her stuff everywhere.
That's so beautiful.
It's just interesting, right? I think the whole mothers of children, also newer generation, has more psychic abilities than we did.
Yeah, it's hard to say like what came first, right? The chicken or the egg? Like, is it the whatever? But I think for me, my biggest goal with my kids is to make them feel well-rounded, to make them feel connected to their body, to connect them into that space, to nourish them in their individuality, and then watch whatever is meant to be expressed through them come through.
True. How can people work with you? What's coming up in your world? This will probably be live in 2-3 weeks or so.
Okay, beautiful. I have no idea what'll be happening in my world in 2 to 3 weeks because I really just wake up and go where spirit leads me. But if you want to find me, I'm the Quantum Psychic on all channels, so Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, wherever. For anybody that's looking to find their soul purpose, to really like even get a peek at light language, I'll give you a link to my freebie. It's like my mini meditation series just to see what speaks to you.
Beautiful. Thank
Mhm.
you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Juliette.
Much love.